love that Conehead shirt. Well, I'm sitting here at my tiki bar, but I ain't seen the sun all day. There's a storm out there, but I don't care. Yeah, I've got Mike's weather page. Never go down. Okay. Mike's weather page. You know you were tracking every move it makes. You know it's Mike's weather page. You know he won't let us all get blown away. Is it just me or is there spinach in it? There's spaghetti models and empty rum bottles, and sometimes Louis says hi. Hey, Louis. But you don't get no hurries and don't have no worries, cause we're drunk donkey nationwide. Everybody now. Mike's weather page. You know he'll be tracking every move that makes. You know it's Mike's weather page. You know he won't let us all get blown away. Did I ever tell you the story of the drunk donkey? Once upon a time, there was this weather woman. You can come as a pirate, stay kind of quiet, but you know you love watching Mike's face. Yes, we do. So put your Conehead shirt on, watch it live on your phone, and drink drunk donkey beer all day. Here we go now. Mike's weather page. You know he'll be tracking every move that makes. You know it's Mike's weather page. You know he won't let us all get blown away. Is that Blobby Bobby? I think that's Juicy Jerry. Yeah, Mike, throw a party, man.
Click, click. Hey, it works. I'm home. A week at Talladega and I survived, I think. So I've been reading your all's comments. I miss you too. I did. I took a week off. Well, actually, no, I streamed last Tuesday. So we only missed 4 days, right? Columbus Day yesterday. That was, hopefully everybody got through the weekend, watched Talladega. I survived, and somehow my liver survived. So how's everybody doing? We got a little bit to talk about the tropics. I'll catch up everybody with some of the shenanigans we did over the weekend. Got some good press, made some money for the Humane Society, which was exciting. Louis had his 15 minutes of fame. He got more kisses than anybody in the whole Talladega Boulevard did. Louis was a stud. Louis had a good time. Even got a kiss from Jeff Burton and Rick Scott and Natalie Decker, NASCAR girl. So all right. Well, hey, listen. So again, I was in Talladega last week. I kept ABC Fine Wine and Spirits alive in the black for this month, because we took literally a whole trailer full of goods from ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. So big thanks to them. They're our Facebook Live sponsor, and came home with a lot less than what we went with. And then we capped the night off Sunday night with some pretty strong moonshine. And that's right, Jonas. And of course, you share things on Facebook you probably shouldn't share. So I did, and even made my mom and dad a little upset with me. So I apologize, Mom and Dad. I deleted it after a few hours. Never Facebook posts when you're drinking. But hey, it's who we are. You can think things, you just can't say things. All right, so real quick, let's talk about the tropics. A couple things. Today's day in history. This was being posted around the net. Hurricane Hazel, 1954. So a little bit of history out there for you folks that might have been around the 50s. Hurricane Hazel made headlines on this day back in 1954. There's the track, went through the Caribbean, came up north, split the gap, kind of like we've seen many storms do, and made it up through the Bahamas, and then ultimately up into the Carolinas, and there you go. So a little bit of weather history today. There's the old tracking maps, scary isobars. We all know about isobars, right? Hey, what's up, Jewel? Hey, Melinda, thanks. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Little sniffles today. Yeah, the shirts were fun. Yeah, Melinda, I'll have to show that. Let's see if I can pull my shirts up, and then we'll talk tropics, because the shirts were quite funny. Let's see if I can find them. Here we go. Photos. This was sent to me from the NBC folks, actually. So let's see. Here we go. Let me see. There's Louis. I'm going to pull it up right now. There we go. All right, there's one of them. All right, so here's our crew at Talladega. So our kissing booth was a huge success. Huge. I haven't figured out how much money we raised. We're going to do some online donations, but probably at least $500. And I'm going to show the check when we mail it off to the Humane Society, and send it to their pet recovery section that they have now for hurricane recovery for pets. But it was a big hit. There's our crew. So some of my guys thought it'd be funny. They surprised me. They got shirts that said that they were Louis because they wanted to kiss. So they had no, I'm Louis. This is Joe, Dave, Tom, and Donnie. These are my buds. So the joke was, when people came up to kiss Louis, these guys ran up and said, "No, I'm Louis. No, I'm Louis. No, I'm Louis." So it was kind of funny. You had to be there. All right, so let's talk tropics. All right, so here's what's cooking. And then, last thing, this Thursday night, if you're in the local area, we are doing our Troubled Waters Brewing is doing their beer reveal for our Drunk Donkey IPA. And check this out. Actually got a logo now. This is what it looks like. There's our Drunk Donkey IPA. So if you're in the area, Thursday night in Safety Harbor, it's a cool little brewery on Main Street. They have a great selection of in-house beers, and they're going to be debuting our new Drunk Donkey IPA, and I'll be there streaming live. Florida born. Pretty cool logo. And I think the beer, the tap reveal is at 6 o'clock p.m. So we're probably going to do 2 lives that night. I'm going to do a live showing off the beer, the first drink, and then we're going to do a special Facebook supporter live around 8 o'clock. We're going to debut our Thursday Night Thunder. So this should be real comical because we'll be rookies, me and my buddy Phil. All right, so here's what's cooking in the tropics, real quick. Here we go. In a nutshell, a couple things. 3 things we're watching, real quick, and then we'll get into the main thing. So we have Tropical Depression 15 way out yonder in the land of cotton. I drove through cotton, through Albany, Georgia. You know how many pecan farms? I mean, it was deja vu coming home because last year we drove through Albany, Georgia, right after Michael hit, and Talladega. Cotton was everywhere. It was good to see the pecan farms back. Looked like a lot of new trees were planted, so that's good. But last year when I drove home, we saw a lot of pecans way north of the coast. A lot of trees down, a lot of cotton. But anyway, So here's Tropical Depression 15. Not going to be much to worry about. Did make a little history. It was the farthest forming east storm this time of the year. So it came off of Africa. Already had a little spinach. Tropical storm expected over Cape Verde Islands, and it's going to get some heavy wind shear. Likely die by the weekend. So there you go. Brief history. Hey, Kathy, cool. I'm going to try not to drink much until 8 o'clock. How can you not? But I will be good. So there you go. That's what's cooking. Next name on the list is going to be Nestor. So there you go. There's future Nestor off of Africa. All right, so here we go. Closer to home. This is let's see. One real quick. Got a lot of cool things to look at. Click, 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 click. Had all these open up. Now I have to go back and show you what they are. So we'll talk about the Caribbean thing next. This little wave nearing the Lesser Antilles expected to die. There's a lot of wind shear down here in the Western Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean actually. So a little bit of rainmaker for the islands, and not expected to be much. Only 10% chance. So nothing to worry about with that one. Closer to home, we have this little guy, and we've been talking about this. We were talking about this thing back before I even went to Talladega. That we had this general Central America juicy gyre spot. We have development possibly on the Pacific side, and we have development possible here now on the Atlantic side. This whole general area is extremely juicy, low pressures. Right now it's over land, which is good news. You can kind of pick it up looking at a few different things. You can, of course, we always show the windy map. Windy map right here. Kind of see it right about there, south of the Yucatan. Got a little spinach. It's got a lot of land. We got a lot of action out here on the Pacific side. We got little swirlies everywhere. Little cinnamon buns. And then we're going to talk about the Nor'easter too. And Biketoberfest. No, Oktoberfest here in Tampa Bay. But here's our low pressure. All right, so here's what the deal is. This little guy's got to cross a bunch of land. Right now, it's not looking very impressive. I got updated the website, spaghettimiles.com, with some new satellite imagery. So here you go. You can kind of see the burst of convection down here. So it does, it is firing down by the Yucatan. As I had to go get coffee. So we're doing some kitchen cabinet work, and our kitchen is now an echo chamber. And we have no sink, and we have no K-cup, and we have construction guys coming periodically now for the next couple weeks. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to move my little makeshift office here, because I don't know if we can be doing this with hammering cabinetry in the morning, but we'll see. Definitely needed some cabinets put in. Our cabinets were falling apart, so it sounds a little echoey. That's why. And there's Louie. What's Louie even barking at? Louie, come here. Come here. We're picking up Rusty later today, so he'll be happy to see Louie. Come here, Louie. Come here. Come here. He's in the attack position. All right, so if you're wondering about the Caribbean spot, here we go. We got the juicy little convection down here. It's got a lot of land to cross, and that's going to be tough. The overall area is pretty juicy, but until it crosses into the Yucatan, there's absolutely no reason to worry, no reason to guess. I'm looking at some surface charts here. Here's 72-hour surface chart. Here's a front dying down. It's going to combine with this low pressure in the Bay of Campeche. Hey, Susan, we have a lot of stuff in the living room. Problem is our living room is attached to the kitchen. But anyway, here's the deal. So 2 days from now, our low pressure is going to be right here in the Bay of Campeche. Low pressure is going to aid in maybe helping spin up a little spinach. Here's your individual models. We'll show you these real quick. Actually, let me show you the ensemble since I had it up. So here's your latest GFS. Well, actually, let's look at 06Z. 06Z ensembles are here. So let me zoom in on that. All right, so these are your GFS ensembles, and these are all the different members of the GFS. And we can see a Central America gyre. We learned this last year. First, I learned how to say it last year because it's spelled G-Y-R-E. I know Louis barked. Were you scared, Laura? Were you guys scared? There he is. There's Louis until he runs away. Louis was the hit. I'm gonna show you some pictures of Louis later, but there's Louis. There's our boy. If y'all missed him. His ears are back. He doesn't know what's going on. We have no kitchen and no Rusty. But your GFS is showing the general thinking that this whole Central America gyre can either produce a little system coming off the Pacific, and some of the models are showing that energy is going to do a crossover up into the Gulf, and that has been the trend now for over a week. So there's the GFS. The individual members here of the GFS kind of showing all the different low pressure spots, and it shows some development. This is key. This is important to show. This is next Friday. Friday, we're looking at possible whatever happens down here, right in the middle part of the Gulf. The good news with the models are nothing's under 1,000 millibar right now, which means tropical storm. Nothing, strong to be stressed about. Doesn't mean things can change. It just means that the models are not showing any craziness. Again, when we were watching Michael, when it was down off the coast of Cancun and the Yucatan, it had serious convection in the early stages. It had no land development in the early stages, and it had spinach. I mean, I hate saying that word all the time, but so this thing's going to take time. And the models back in the early stages of Michael were showing some crazy explosive intensification. None of the models are showing that yet, so that's good news. Not to say it can't happen, because we get a low pressure area down this Bay of Campeche. This way above my brain pay grade, but the land curvature down in that neck of the woods actually helps promote spinning. We saw that with Harvey and other storms. So any system down in the Bay of Campeche needs to be watched. So your GFS ensembles, low pressure next Friday right here. Nothing under 1,000, which is good. Doesn't mean it can't, but there are signs that we're going to have increased shear as this comes closer to the coast. Another approaching cold front. That's why these models are bending. All these storms in October typically bend. That's why Texas always feels like they're safe once October comes, because fronts pull up and head off to the east. Julio, yes, totally agree with that. We do have our donkey on the Conehead shirt, which you guys are Coneheads. God, I always forget. Next year the Coneheads are going to rock. We're going to promote the heck out of Coneheads. The Coneheads came around during Dorian. You guys call each other Coneheads. That's because we're talking about the cone of uncertainty. But yeah, maybe we'll do that. Going into next year, we'll do one a little more, less drunk, more donkey donk. All right, so there's your Euros. Let's close that out. Let's take a look at, we're going to look at the nor'easter, yes. Let me close some of these windows. Let's go to European ensembles. European ensembles aren't showing much, which is good news too. We usually look at both sets of ensembles. And as you can see with the Euro right here, that in 5 days, maybe right here. So 3 or 4 days, this is what the Euro shows. Very few, about 10% of the European ensembles are showing something forming down here, which is good. We're not seeing huge support yet. I keep saying yet because if this low pressure emerges into the bay, then the models are going to be completely wrong and they're going to show possible development. The Euro's predicting that we're going to get a lot more chance Pacific action, but you can see this crossover, but that's a lot of land. So the good news of showing you this European is that the tracks are very similar. Anything that gets up here probably going to pull north and then northeast, but we're not seeing any reasons yet to get too stressed out. Let's look at the UK together because I haven't looked at it yet. Let's see if we can find a better. Let's see, Southwest Atlantic. I don't know. The Euro doesn't really do much other than tropical Atlantic. So there's that. All right, let's see what the UK. Let's see what the UK shows. This is going into Friday. There you go. UK. It shows a little bit of something. But see, then it dies it down. So interesting though. This is worth showing. So here's I don't think we can copy and paste. Nope. Yeah, we did. Look at that. All right. So here's the UK. This is for next Friday night. Interesting. So the UK on board with 1,000 millibar system, pulling up, going north, curving northeast. So, again, there's no reason to hype something that isn't even hyped yet because the models aren't showing it. But again, if we get low pressure with some sort of structure down the bay, then these things have had a history of ramping up a little bit more than earlier predicted. So main point of this whole thing is lots of rain for Central America. Yes, a lot of concern down that way. We'll show you some more of that. But what happens midweek is when this system gets into the Gulf, the water's super duper hot. We have a loop eddy. Looking at the rain maps, let's look at 7-day rain map. 7-day rain map already starting to show this general northeast movement. Again, you can see Texas almost has the force field or storm shield or force. What was it? Force field? This Friday, Heather. This week. We're talking this week. Hey, Whitney, Big Ben. Never know. You might be right on it. And again, a heavily sheared system because we have a front coming down. Most of the actions to the east side, which would put the moisture possibly into the panhandle. Now, these rain maps take a little while to. I haven't shown the Euro yet, but these rain maps take a little while to catch up. But you can see the general trend here is this system coming up and then bending, and that anything in the orange is 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain right here. So definitely through next weekend, this weekend coming up, we could have storm force field. There you go, Chris. 1,000 gallons, that ain't enough. So hey, the good. Well, two things. We've had plenty of October hurricanes in the past. Yes, that's something to think about. The second thing is the models right now at least are showing unfavorable conditions as it nears the coast. But we've also seen fronts aid in development as systems get pulled northward. Charlie, Michael, others. So, I would not take your eyes off of this if you're in the upper Gulf Coast, Florida Panhandle, maybe even parts of West Florida. Next weekend could be a little something coming up, a little tropical something. And because it's fall and football, nobody talks about the tropics. You can mark my word. So there's the rain map. Let's see what else we can look at. Cool. Let's look at some long-range surface charts showing you what's happening. So let's see, Friday. All right, so here's Friday. Here's Friday this week, October 18th. There's Friday, low pressure. There's our front coming down. First front, low pressure. Front stalls, maybe a little low pressure. Here's our next front coming on Saturday. And then there's really not a big front coming. So the steering currents look kind of weak. So general pull northward And then we'll see. But it all matters what it does right now. Let's look at some vorticity maps. All right, so let's talk about the water temperatures. Water temperatures. Here's your water temperatures. This is your anomaly map showing you on average where the water's at. Right now, the water off the east coast of Florida is cool. That's left over from Dorian. Have not warmed up yet. We've seen that in prior years. The northeast, we're going to show a little bit of northeast stuff, but the water up there is really warmer than normal. And the Gulf here is warmer than normal quite a bit. So plenty of fuel. Don't think just because we're in October doesn't mean we can't have a storm. And here's your heat potential map. There's that loop eddy in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. And that'll help aid any development because of the hot, deep water. We can look at the cool looking loop eddy here. This is the river of warm water in the ocean. There we go. There's your loop eddy, and that's a steady pool of warm water. Could help aid any development. Takes a lot of things. I mean, the main thing it needs is a tight structure, which over land it's not going to be able to develop. Let's take a look at the vorticity map. Man, you got a little spinach. This is a good map. Shows you spinach. This is off the Wisconsin site, tropic.ssec.wis. Oh, that's why I put links. Yeah, Chris, I always get confused. So this weekend, you're correct. Hey, Cindy, yeah, it's odd, isn't it, Cindy? It's like, I noticed it in Alabama. It's like cold in the morning, and then that sunshine gets out, and it's like, bam. Hey, Brian, yeah, the Bucks. Jameis Winston. Let's give him another chance next year. What I hate about football, I love baseball because, A, it's 160 games. And I love the baseball players. Most of them are pretty cool, no egos. This is what I like about football. One game into a season, usually anymore, they start talking about next year. Whoa, we need to start preparing for next year. I swear to God. Now I sound like that one dude. Baker guy or whatever. I swear to God. Hey, Angela, what's up? You love spinach? I love spinach. Let's take a look at spinach. Spinach. I like spinach dip. There we go. There's your morning spinach. We can make steamed spinach with lemon. With a lot of salt. I don't know what it is about spinach, but I love spinach with salt. I like spinach in salt water. That's what it is. What's up, Catherine? Yeah, Deanna, I always mess it up. This weekend coming up. All right, so we're going to show the nor'easter coming up. All right, so again, let's look at some 500 millibar vorticity real quick. Very little. There's, Pacific side definitely firing up. We got this Central America gyre system. Let's take a look at Pacific. There's 80%. So here's the other side of Central America right now. This is a stupid thing here. You can't put your pointer over it, but. So when you get these big Central America low pressure, big old juicy systems, usually Pacific will fire up, and that's what we got right here. We got a little system on the Pacific side, and some of that energy is expected to help aid curve up into the Bay of Campeche. So it's kind of, it's funny, we talked about this almost a week or two ago, and here's Invest 95, by the way. There are spaghetti models, but don't get too alarmed by them because they're all expecting the system to die right around the Leeward Islands here. So no big worries there. Matter of fact, your intensity models are pretty low. I usually don't show these because they're usually all over the place, but this showing you Invest 95, which is our Atlantic wave, is down to nothing. So very low confidence that thing's going to do anything. And that is this guy right here. That guy. 10%. All right, there's that. Let's see what else we can look at. That's kind of cool. What's going on weather-wise today? Here's that stalled front. Let's look. So you can look at today's. Let's take a look at that. Here's the next 3 days. Well, that's kind of hard to watch online. Let's look at this guy. This is today's surface chart. So today's surface chart. Ooh, look at storms in Alabama. Just missed it. But There's a stalled out front drooping across the south here, across the southeast. You look at the current radar, we can see that. Stalled out front, big time rain through Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama. There's a stalled out front, and that's what we're looking at right now. That's why we have. And then there's old Melissa. Sweet Melissa formed while we were gone. There you go. Temperatures for the week. We can take a look at that. Let's start looking at temperatures more. This is more like a daily weather update. This is what I used to do. This is thinking out loud because I sound like I'm more into the weather when I watch it with you guys. God, and then I always hit the same damn button. It's shaded. All right, so here's your current temperatures. You can see the front line right here across the northern portions of Bama and what do they call this line of Tennessee here? Because all three states have them. But here we go. Let's see, next cold front coming down. Ooh, good one. Look at that. So Thursday morning, 30s for upper Georgia. 40s dipping way down to the Gulf region. So look at that. Winter's officially here. Well, fall's officially here. Ooh, look at that. We could have some serious freezing temperatures in the mountains next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday. All right. Hey, Jen, no. Okay, so 15 is nothing to worry about. It's going to encounter heavy shear. Going to die out and not be much of a concern. It's going to be Tropical Storm Nestor, it does appear, and bring a lot of rains to the lesser or the Cape Verde Islands. But it should die out, not be any threat to make it across the Atlantic. It's too far north, and if it were to survive, any front coming down here would whisk it off to the northeast. So that's good news. 15, other than breaking records, 15 is just a rainy mess. Here's our spinach map. Let's take a look at that. You can see it right here. Always a great map to look at. Shows the middle to lower level atmosphere moisture in the air. And you can see right here this TD15 coming off of Africa. Already had spinach. Here's that little wave here in the Atlantic near in the Lesser Antilles. A lot of dry air around it. A lot of shear ahead. And then this whole area here is what we're watching with two sides, Pacific side, Atlantic side. Lots of moisture in the air. Definitely has the possibility of becoming something in the bay up here. 30% chance from the NHC. So, and then of course, okay, Mike, real quick. All right, so the northeast. Here, let's look at some easier to see it on these maps. Let's take a look. So your northeast. Let's see if we can do some winds. 850 winds. All right, so big low pressure area is coming across the middle part of the U.S. right now. Gonna come across and push up. Hold on, I gotta get the door. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. I told you the doorbell would be ringing. So yeah, I'm moving my office, by the way. I told you we're doing kitchen work. So today's project is to move the desktop to the bedroom. Otherwise, the dog's going to be going crazy. But we're showing the Northeast real quick, and then I'll sign off and put this on YouTube for everybody. But the Northeast this weekend, look at this. Serious winds. This is Wednesday night. This thing's going to develop into a nor'easter. And I already showed earlier today, we're looking at 100-mile-an-hour possible wind gusts just off the coast of Massachusetts. But the GFS is showing it 976 millibar. This is right off the coast going into Thursday afternoon. And huge winds across the Northeast definitely coming. So big story developing for the Northeast. Here's our low setting up. And we'll have to watch how that does. So we'll keep an eye on that. So that's it. All right. So 11 o'clock, we'll have the new advisory come out. Hopefully, or probably not. We'll have a new advisory at 11 o'clock with TD15. We'll have a new NAC update at 2 o'clock with this little guy here in the Caribbean. And what's up, Telford? And then we'll go from there. All right. And one last look here at the Caribbean. And this little guy's going to have to make its way across the Yucatan before we get any sort of worries out there. What's up, Jim? Telford, too early for that. For sure. All right, so it's going to be an interesting few days for sure. We're gonna do a lot of tracking. This is going to be one of those little maybe surprise systems that pops up into the bay here and make some news headlines. We'll see, but definitely keep your eye on it. Upper Gulf Coast this weekend coming up. Possibility of something tropical. Never know. Never know. Katie, hard to know. Pacific. I mean, Pacific. Usually when the Pacific's hot, the Atlantic's not. Pacific usually dies off a little quicker than the Atlantic does. Don't be surprised if we get a couple more systems toward the end of October into November. The water's plenty hot. Season doesn't officially end until November 30th. So there's always that outside chance that we are going to get something. I mean, there's been some pretty memorable named storms later in the season that we got to worry about. So anyway, all right. Well, listen, we'll be going live every day this week, no doubt about it. Maybe later tonight once I get my new computer set up. I'm going to have to move all my monitors and make a new home for the next couple weeks. So thank you, Jen. Again, I'm still waking up. I'm going to go have lunch with Mom and Dad. I haven't seen them in a week. And then wake up. So we'll see you.